Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of What is the Ask? There's five friends talking about the issues that concern Black Americans before the upcoming election on November 5th, 2024. So, our question is, what are we asking for our collective vote? And as of today, the election is 468 days away, and already there's a lot of stuff going on. So I'm Jeanette Bradley, your host here in Tampa, with normally Mona and Ken, who are also from Tampa, but not here tonight. But I'm being joined tonight by our Atlanta counterparts, Albert Fields and Alton Drew. So let's get started. So let's focus on the Supreme Court tonight, guys, as our main topic. And let's follow that up with some of the quick fire topics we've been kind of talking about back and forth since we last met. So, Alton, the Supreme Court's been getting a lot of press lately, a lot of attention. There's a time when nobody paid attention to those guys, and I do say guys, and we showered them with a great deal of unearned respect. They had dignity as far as we were concerned in those coats. So today, not so much. Can you bring us up to speed on the court of lifers who seem to not give a damn about anything the growing majority cares about? They seem to have the keys to the kingdom.
Hmm. Well, I'll try to speak in general terms because I admit I haven't been keeping up with the shenanigans as reported in the media
Mm-hmm.
because what the media reports, I don't care. If I'm gonna look at the court, I'm gonna get up and look at their court opinions. I'm gonna see who wrote what, how they wrote it, and because that um, those opinions tell you a lot. They really don't hide anything. Now, but and the arguments regarding the court, its size, its so-called ethics, lack thereof, um, yeah, those arguments have been really piping up since KBJ was before the Senate during her and really before that, really since 2018 with Kavanaugh.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um, so yeah, the Democrats have painted again a picture of a court that is supposed to be representative of the people. And going to your point, they're out of touch with the growing majority or with the masses. Um, I'm going to try and speak as objectively as possible, but I am a lawyer. Um, they're not out of. They're not supposed to be in sync with it. They
So,
are.
so, so let me direct the question that's burning my heart, Alton.
Mm.
Are when they make rulings, are they supposed to make rulings based upon what the Constitution says, or what the popular people attitudes are at the time of the rule of the decision?
Right, right. The first thing they're supposed to be looking at is the Constitution, right? However, there is, they also take into account what they refer to as social policy and public policy. That's their way of putting their finger up into the wind and getting a sense as to where things are going. Classic example would be 1954 Brown v. Board,
Right.
um, where they discussed the what they perceive to be the changes in society regarding race, that separate but equal couldn't work. Blacks, or Negroes, as they referred to them at the time, were making headway, even though facilities in some cases were not equal, but in other cases, facilities were equal. So they saw those changes in, at least the aesthetics. I can't say attitude. None of us really can. Not from the 1950s, because there's too much documentation that the attitude was dangerous, especially in the South. Maybe things were a
Right.
little lighter in the North. I don't know. However, in the South, Jim Crow, you really can't say blacks and whites were lovey-dovey. However, the facilities, according to the court, were moving closer to equality. So we're going to move away from Plessy v. Ferguson and bring America into the 20th century with Brown v. Board. So yes, they do look at what I call the social policy. What is America saying? How is America changing?
Let's back up because we got a listening audience, and we want, and part of this is to make sure that we are schooled. So when you talked about Plessy v. Ferguson,
Yes,
that really pointed to, or they said they decided segregation was
segregation is the law, separate but equal as the doctrine.
right.
And so the court went from Plessy to Brown v. Board and said, well, separate but equal is not the doctrine. That's not the reality. We still have unequal facilities. If we're going to make them equal, then we need to make changes. Fast forward now to that's again on local school level, but they also did address your higher level education facilities as well. Now you fast forward to a court that has said that the way universities need to be mindful, and I'm just paraphrasing them, I'm just summarizing it. Universities need to be mindful of how they're crafting their admissions policies. And I'd like to reiterate, the court did not say affirmative action is dead. They said you need to be mindful of how you craft your admissions policies, and they should be in lockstep with our decisions since 1978, since Bakke. That's what the court said. And they laid out the tests for ensuring that these admissions policies stay within lockstep. What I see from in this case, and also in Dobbs v. Jackson, where they struck down, they sent abortion back to the states, right? I see a court that is extra mindful of history, and they're taking a closer look at history. We may disagree with their interpretation, but what they're saying is you need to take into account what has happened, the precedent, what has happened in the past. You just can't gloss over it and then expect us to rule one way. They made that very clear in Dobbs, when they went through meticulously the history of abortion in the United States. I mean, they went literally decade for decade, century for century, where they
were quoting something back in what, the 1800s, 1700s or something, in terms of
they were looking at, yes, attitudes toward abortions during that time, and they said in their analysis they said even right up until the 1960s, abortion on the state level, attitude wise, people are still against it, and state legislatures were aligned with that attitude back then. That was their analysis. And they said basically this has always been a state decision. Past courts did not take into account this portion of history. You need to go back, look at it, and move this and send this policy back to the states to address that. This is a state issue. I think they even slid in this is a 10th Amendment issue. It's a health policy issue, and health policy, along with police action, has always been on the state level. And of course, that's the danger that progressives, liberals, Democrats saw, was that the abortion right issue, which they wanted centered and addressed from the top down, is now on the state level and spread out, where it's more dangerous, where it's more difficult for progressives and Democrats to run a ground game. For them, and this has always been my observation. I won't say complaint, because complaint means I'm too involved. Observation, I'm trying to keep arm's length. My observation of the Democrats has been that they have forgotten their ground game. It's ironic that there's this guy named Bobby Kennedy Jr. who came out of a family that understood the ground game. There's another irony. One, he may go back. 1968, his dad was on the way to Chicago for the DNC. Dad got whacked. Right now, it looks like he may be on his way back to finish that mission. But the other part of that is that you've got Yeah, you've got a party that has forgotten how to play the ground game. So now here it is, abortion is returning to a state by state battle. And you have a Democratic Party that doesn't know how to fight state by state. They, as much as they complain about the Electoral College, they campaign as if they want to win the Electoral College, meaning they will literally fly over a whole bunch of states. Now they can't do that. They have to go into those states and do battle, ground on the ground, state by state, and that's the mess that the Supreme Court has put the Democratic Party into.
So here's my issue. Doing all this fighting that's going on, and we're trying to figure out what's going on. Are we reacting to what the media said happened with that Supreme Court ruling on affirmative action? Because if I heard you correct, there was something totally different actually put into place. And so if we are reacting to that, then does that give the latitude that will allow people to go ahead and function in that method as if what the media said was actually what was presented?
This is where we are right now. Having flirted in the media myself, having been political since I asked my mother in August of 1974, why is Richard Nixon resigning? So I've been in this, right? And I've never seen people, yes, we used to pick up the paper and read what's in the paper. Yes, we look at the news, but this is a media that is blatantly has divided its audiences into, you're pro progressive, you're pro this, you're pro that. But directly to your question, yes, people are following the media. I'm talking grown ass people in their 50s with 10 degrees who ought to know better. I again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't have traditional cable in my house. Yeah, I got an internet connection. Can I turn on a TV and watch this stuff? No. Why? Because I've had to come to the realization that rather than spending time fact checking these jokers, I go straight to the source. If somebody comes to me and says, "Oh, Alton, they said that blah 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 with the abortion." Oh, did they now? Hold on, let me read this order. I don't see what you're talking about. This is what the court's saying, and they don't let you in that conference room when they're drawing that consensus. So no one in the media now, they can analyze. They can bring in their analysts. You got some people in the media that they try to be fair. They may bring like a C-SPAN, may bring in 2-3 sides of an issue. But the traditional mainstream media is pushing an agenda. So when they come out and say, well, the court did blah, 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 my first reaction is, if you're saying it, then the court didn't do that. I'll read what they said. So yes, I think people are spending too much time listening to these jokers and only listening to one circus. But a whole bunch of circuses going on, and they're only going to one circus.
So it feels like, having not read anything, but listened to a lot of the, I guess, commentators out there with their varying opinions, it feels like the Supreme Court has been placed there to execute certain policies or to crawl back on certain policies that the right has not liked, and they are executing it beautifully. Let's say that. That's what it seems to me. So that analytical look back at the Constitution and the social and the public policy and see where things are going, hogwash. They're just doing whatever they want to do. And that's what it feels like.
And I would say that your feeling is more than a feeling, is pretty solid. Rule number 2, people, I'm gonna blow a lid off of a secret out that people need to understand. And I'm going to only speak about the court, since I'm technically tied closer to that state power versus the executive power, and the state power as exhibited through the executive. Be mindful, listen to what I'm saying. And the state power as it is exhibited by the legislative. Okay. And you know, they'll come from my car or whatever. I don't care. I call it the way I see it. We are there to perform and present a narrative that is in keeping with the and I forgot Professor Messenger. I think I'm messing up his name, but I agree with him 100% because I've been there before. I heard him say this.
Mm-hmm.
They are presenting narratives, both court, legislature, and executive narratives that are created in what I call the anarchist space. What do I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
You have the state, a word that people think, oh, they hear state, they think, oh, Florida, Georgia. No, 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 no.
So we're
That's
talking about
minor. We're talking the state.
right.
The people that some of them you may walk by every day, and some of them you don't know. But we're talking about the state, and the state, okay, has three powers. Government doesn't have three branches. There's nothing in the Constitution that says government has three branches. The state has three separate powers. The court is one of them. So once the state and the state is involved in its own combat that we don't see. However, whatever the prevailing message is that is coming out of the state, the courts are there to interpret that message and create a narrative embodied in the opinions that they put out. Now, the reasoning and stuff, yes. Once you know where you want to go, you're going to come up with reasoning. As long as you hope it sounds sound. But the reasoning, the arguments, sometimes they could be solid, sometimes they're airy, but yes, there's always a direction and an end game that you're trying to support. Remember, these are 9 human beings in the
That's
Congress.
right.
535 in the White House.
Yes.
In the White House, 1. Well, maybe 2 if whenever she decides to get off of the airhead stage. However, you have to remember these are human beings with value systems, and they have philosophies. Right. Ladies and gentlemen, when you're looking at government, there's only one. Well, in my mind, this is my framework. You must understand that there is a philosophy or competing philosophies. The winning philosophy controls the narrative. The narrative is spread through political combat, through the politics. Whichever political machine wins sets the policy, and then the policy, the law puts it in a code, puts it in a snapshot that is always open to debate again whenever the next battle arises. So in other words, what I'm trying to say is this: you don't look at law, whether it's an opinion coming from the court or a statute coming from the Congress or an executive order coming from the president, as something, set in stone and it's just like, you worship it. No, that thing is molded, malleable, because behind it is a human value system.
Okay.
So what? Let me break it down for English. I'm gonna break it in English for you. What he's saying is those judges turn around and look around and see what the popular thing is, and they break and go that way. And so then we're left out here in the middle, trying to understand and encompass what's going on. And the fact that they're called supreme judges gives them the look and the power to where we do want to worship them, which is a waste of time. That's what that is.
But given what you just said, let's compare the Warren Court, who said, hey, abortion's illegal, to the Roberts Court, who said it's illegal. And look at popular opinion that's going on around each of those eras, right?
Not just
how does 2 Republican courts come up with 2 different answers?
I'll take popular opinion for now. I'd rather say philosophy, but you have to look at the environment during both periods. That's a 40-year difference. You had a population under the Warren Court that was just Anglos and Afros for the most part.
I wrote that down because
thank you very much. Yeah, there were Anglos and Afros. What happened in 1965? Yeah, you had the Voting Rights Act, but you also had an immigration rule. You're looking at changes in society, and those changes in part are coming from, people with different attitudes, views, or anything from I don't support Vietnam to the Latin workers out there picking whatever out west with oh Lord, was it Chavez? Yeah, I forgot his name right now. You had all of that going on. So yes, the court does not operate in a complete vacuum. They see what's going on, and it's up to the people that come before them to make the arguments to tell them what's going on. But yeah, but they're looking at the populace. They really don't care about the popular opinion, but they're not naive. In other words, look, here's another classic case: Loving v. Virginia, interracial marriage. It was illegal in Virginia, legal in Washington, D.C. This couple wanted to go back home to Virginia. In D.C., it's okay. You're married, fine. We don't care. We turn our eyeballs. The minute they crossed over the doggone Anacostia and headed into Virginia, boom, they're criminal.
Correct.
So now the court is like, the attitudes of America is changing. Hell, even Sammy Davis Jr. has a white wife. Come on, people. Let's get with the program. Did we screw up in the past? Let's look at the precedent. This is wrong. So it's a combination of things, but you're also looking at where do you want to end up? Where do you want society to end up? Where do you think society should be?
So here's the false notion that gets us all. The fact that you gave those 9 people unlimited power to be there until they drop dead suggests that some kind of way they were going to be a neutral source that would be consistent across the board instead of like the stock market, which went up and down. And so depending upon what's up today, bell-bottom pants versus long dresses, you see, that's the way they are turning. And Congress set that thing up. And I tried to research to find out why they gave them a life term, forever and a day. There was a strategy behind that because they had something going on during that time. And I think that's key to our confusion about the Supreme Court in terms of its value.
Yeah. I think
you kind of hit on the fact that if I have a lifetime job, I'm not beholden to someone to dangle any kind of carrots, because nobody's gonna boot me off because I'm making a decision you don't necessarily like.
No, that ain't where I was going. I'm saying that once they got that lifetime, they could do anything that they wanted to do and not worry about the result, as opposed to dangling a carrot. Because as you see, they're dangling carrots right now in front of 2 or 3 of those guys.
Right.
Hold up. They should be choking with all the damn carrots that they've got.
They're dangling dots.
Yeah, they dangling houses, they dangling cars, they dangling all kinds of stuff. So yeah, and this is not the first time, which is why I ain't mad and running around hollering, let's get rid of my boy. Clarence. I'm saying, how you gonna get rid of him when the rich folks been dangling them carrots ever since this thing was born in the 1700s?
Right. You see, going to that issue. Yeah, there is, again. Let's go back to this. Is all it's not a bunch of Brother Panic will get on me about this one. It's not a bunch of archons out there doing this. It's a bunch of human beings doing this. And these humans who created this knew. First of all, you got the bedtime story about, the king in England didn't give us a parliamentary system that he promised us. So we're gonna rebel and create our own system, but we're gonna make sure that the monarch is split up. Okay. The reason the court, by their reasoning, the reason the court has lifetime is because they want. Yes, and the reason the court relies on precedent is that they want a body that keeps America on the same philosophical path. They need a body in there to regulate the two, to regulate the politics, so that they don't steer too far off of the philosophy, the narrative, which is an Anglo-Western, which is an Anglo philosophy. We want that. We need that. Now, yes, only 9 of you. You don't vote, you don't write law, you just interpret, but you have that kind of power. So again, the state itself is like Mount Olympus. The gods are always battling, right? Same thing going there. So they have these three separate powers to counter each other, and with the main mission being keeping this trading post called America in line with its main mission, which in my opinion, I got no scholars to back me up and I don't care. The main mission of America is to act as an extraction system that sucks the energy, meaning taxes and profits, out of its populace and directs that stuff through these nodes that you call banks and into the hands of the people that you don't see and will never see. That is America's purpose. So you need three institutions that maintain that from the top.
Yeah, if it gets too close to real, they gonna tear it. Somebody's gonna tear it up. Go ahead, Jeanette.
A lifetime appointment to help ensure that the decisions they make are guided by law and judgment, rather than trying to placate political interests to save their jobs.
Where are you reading that from? Where are you getting that from? Because that's totally different from what they're doing. They are totally using the political side of the world to pass those laws.
Way, like you said, those carrots got to be the carrots, and then the fact that and I'm going back to the Warren Court. The Warren Court totally surprised them, and those Republican justices thereafter that got onto those courts and were making decisions that were counter to what the Republicans wanted. They decided, those Federalist folks, we're going to fix that, and we're going to have a litmus test, and we're not going to be fooled by these justices again.
Okay,
that's the game,
and that's why again when Ketanji was being nominated, and I'll just keep it real. The brothers and sisters. Oh, Ketanji, yeah, she's gonna do this. Blah blah blah. Bullshit. Because she's a Democrat, but trust me, you wait till the next session. There's going to be something that comes up, and she's going to look like a Republican. Because what we consider conservative and liberal in the political sphere is not the same thing in the judicial. So she could be politically liberal, but then she can get on that bench and make a bunch of decisions that look like she was a doggone deep red wearing MAGA Republican. Because that's not how they work.
Yeah, so they're there to regulate the system and ensure. Now, see, that's the side that I go for, Jeanette. Alton was very nice with it, but somewhere in my neighborhood, we say that's the white folk being white folk all day long. And so they will only allow anybody into the house who's going to follow that line and not get too far off that path. Yes. So when they hired Clarence, he was, in fact, I read some stuff about him that blow you away. He was like a Malcolm X follower from for a long time back. And they walked to him and said, "Okay, look here, this is what we get ready to do. Now do you want to come on board?" He went, "Hell yeah, bring it on." For that kind of stuff, he ain't got to worry no more.
It's the short line, like I said.
Yeah, but it's not the carrots that are creating that, is what I'm saying. I'm saying it's more the Alton side. It's the structure of the system that must be maintained, and the oil machine must continue to stay oiled. And so that's why they allow that, because you can't make me believe that a Supreme Court judge taking a house from a rich guy did not seem unethical. You can't make me believe that somebody went like, "Oh, I don't know if that's unethical or not."
Correct.
Now, you know good and well they thought about that, because down here at this level, you let Alton go up there and represent a client in court and find out that the opposition gave Alton $10,000. What are they gonna do?
Right.
Yep. He's gonna be working at Walmart as a greeter, because they're gonna take his license and everything else, because that's obviously some kind of form of conflict. Correct. That's what I'm saying. So for those guys, not one, not two, but there's a third one that's taking stuff. All they're doing is follow that line in the sand that Alton talked about. They follow it right down that same path that Dorothy did, trying to get to the Wizard of Oz.
But don't you guys think, given everything that you said, and I agree with you, that we're now at a critical juncture? If by 2034 white folks are the minority, or whatever that saying is. If that is going to happen, they have very little time to make sure that that structure is maintained and holds fast.
Jeanette, they already did. They took care of that structure.
They took care of
Let me
that.
tell you how ADOS is helping them. Right now, I told you guys I received some kind of invite to a Zoom meeting where they get ready to break down the black population into 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, 10 different categories. So you're going to start seeing infighting amongst those groups, because what is the line they telling us? Africans don't like American black folk. Black folk don't like Africans. Jamaicans don't like Americans. We don't like the people from Bahamas. And Asa Hilliard said it very clear. I heard him on a presentation, Dr. Asa Hilliard. He said this. He said when he got ready to go take a position in Liberia, the state that Alton is talking about, the United States government, came to him and said, let me tell you something before you go to Liberia. Liberians don't like black folk from America. Right. So the Liberians wasn't saying that. It was the America trying to foment that kind of problem going over there so they couldn't get together and do something. And that's why the minority that you think is going to happen in 34 ain't going to happen, because by the time they break us all down into different groups, they still going to have the majority, because they ain't breaking down the white folks, by the way.
No.
Ain't no list on there for white Irish, white Italian, white this, white that. They still going to stay white. It's going to be the rest of us scrambling around trying to get our own little piece of the pie and hate each other. And in the end, a handful of people are going to run a lot.
Right, but I think the fight, because I don't disagree with that move that you just indicated, but I think the fight needs to be to get rid of white and black on any documentation.
Well,
ethnicity becomes what drives everything.
Okay.
Well, and I think ethnicity. Yeah, you can get rid of race.
They're gonna get rid of race. They are.
I won't lie. I mean, if I'm given the opportunity, and which is rare, because Americans haven't gotten there yet on their application forms or whatever. I put Caribbean. I put a Caribbean American.
It's coming. It's coming. It's already coming.
I think it needs to come.
If you're from Egypt, you're considered a white person, no matter how dark you are.
Right. So I'm saying get rid of it, because it's really not making sense.
But the part that makes is going to what I believe is going to happen too is that those Anglos, they're going to be sitting around one day and they're going to say, Mother, do we go back to the Mayflower? We sure do. We are 100% Anglo-Saxon Protestant. We were Anglicans over here. And you know something? That's what we're going to promote. That's why we don't, even though little Herbie Goldstein's a nice guy, but he's Jewish. And Marciano Graciano, he's a nice guy, but he's Italian. And we don't want him, and that guy, Robert Ryan, he's a good man, but he's an Irishman. And I don't care if he's a Kennedy. Even the Kennedys don't want to be Irish anymore. They stopped being Irish 100 years ago.
Okay. Let me tell you a little trick.
It's going to boil down. It's going to boil down to the lineage. Yes, it's going to boil down to we have the lineage, and we have the capital because we started the shit.
That's right.
And that's the test is going to be, you could get rid of race and they'll be happy with that. But you're going to have to pass that lineage test. And that's what's going to happen. Can you pass the lineage test? Now, whatever, 90%, 85%, I don't know what they're going to set, and I don't care. But they're going to go through that matrilineal line and say, did you roll over here in 1609 on the Mayflower? Good for you. You're in. You didn't? You came here in 1870 with Lucy Liu and Benny Wee? No. You don't get in. That's not going to happen.
You don't get
let me bring.
You don't get into.
You don't get in what?
You don't get. Yeah. What we call white, in my opinion, what we call white is nonsense.
Correct.
Everybody who you see is white, they are not white. They're trans white.
Right.
So
here's a game, Jeanette.
White. I thought that was brilliant.
here's the game. Let me break it down home here where it's real. I got 4 dogs. I have trained them. When I say cage, they know where to go. They go into their different stalls. They know where their stalls are. Well, some genius young daughter came back and said, "Oh, that's such a violent word by telling them to go to their cage. It makes them sound bad." So now they're saying crate. But guess what? They still go into the same damn hole that they were slotted to go into. Right. So that's what my point is. No matter what you call it, no matter what you call it, if you're going into the same slot, you ain't changed nothing. You ain't changed. That's where we are. That's what I'm saying is gonna happen. They gonna call it something else. They gonna call you a petunia, and you're still gonna be a rose. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? They gonna call me a watermelon, and I'm still gonna be an apple. You know, it's gonna be that kind of thing, and they gonna treat you the same way. Yeah. You see?
So let's look at the Hispanic population, who we just all said, "Hey, you're all Hispanics," and then all of a sudden we realized maybe 5-10 years ago, oh, you're Cuban and you're Puerto Rican and you're Mexican and you're Venezuelan and you're Brazil. Come on. And they go to those separate little crates. But they're all under the Hispanic when it comes to that Hispanic vote. But then they go into their crates, and then the dissection happens from there.
I would argue, I don't know about that, and I could be wrong, but I would argue that, white marketers, and I've seen these documents, you know, off the record, for the record. I've seen these documents where they have them categories, Latin this, Latin that, Latinx, blah, 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 based on when they came here, how much Spanish they speak.
Right.
Blah,
blah. Latinx,
But I would argue that who we call Latinos, they ain't having no happy-go-lucky party 24/7. Guatemalans are Guatemalans, Hondurans are Hondurans, Venezuelans are Venezuelans. They're hanging out with each other. Yeah, you know, you got the language, sure, but they know where home is.
Right.
So, you know, so white marketers can play that, you know, let's lump them all together and then, but we're gonna use a Sofia Vergara type to represent all of them. They can try that all day.
No, because see, they're two different. They're two different Hispanic groups now. You either check that you Black Hispanic, or you check that you're not Black Hispanic. You see, so they've already started cutting and dicing it, and then now there's another group that says, "Don't call me Hispanic." Yes. And they broke it down just like Alton was doing, which is where we're headed as Black folks. See, because if I can get you to be Bahamian, if I can get you to be from another Jamaica, and get me to be from Mississippi, then I got it made. Now we got 3 different groups, and all I do, as Alton said, get them white boys start marketing against y'all. You know, do you really want to have the best in life? Then you don't want to be from Bahama. You know, if you want to have the good things in life, you don't want to be from Mississippi. And next thing you know, you hate me, I'm hating you, and that's splitting the vote. That's splitting our continuity. And that is hurting us in terms of us making decisions for us. Because what's on the table? What's coming that they keep trying to avoid? Reparations. And why is that going to fail? Because there's going to be so many of us saying, well, I want a piece of the pie. And therefore, I was here. I think Jeanette said, well, I was here longer than you, Alton. Therefore, I ought to get more than you. And I say, well, I didn't get here late, but they still did me wrong where I came from, so I ought to get a piece. They said, no, we don't know you. There's the fight. And once again, white boy, even though they're outnumbered, they still wind up being in charge because they have figured out a way.
Yeah.
Okay?
They control first of all, they control the capital. Once you control the banking system, again, my bias is just from my past 3 years, nothing to do with COVID. Well, let me study, let me learn something else. This banking system is a beast. Once I control this banking system, once I control the Fed, once I control capital, I control the country. I can be, and they are in some instances around, depending on which Anglo or which white groups you look at, Germans who were quickly brought into that group first.
Right,
And
right.
Then your Brits, the true Anglos, they are less than half the population. But I tell you, they control the wealth. And that's
Okay,
all you gotta do is control the wealth and then tell your daughters and sons, look, we need to repopulate up here in New England. So you're gonna make sure that you marry not Goldstein, you're gonna marry not Jacobson, you're gonna marry Smith, Parker, Tucker, anything that sounds Anglo. That's who you're gonna marry.
So a little bit of a shift because we don't have that much time left, and I want to ask a couple more questions. But the Supreme Court, do they have anything to worry about? You know, they stack the courts. Courts are doing their bidding, Republicans. But now we're watching Netanyahu over there totally begin shifting the whole democratic society over there, and by limiting the power of the Supreme Court. And I understand this is only step one because he's going to continue. Is that the model? And should the Supreme Court justices be worried that a Trump term takes them closer to him deciding, I need more power than you, and I don't want you deciding anything that I decide going counter to that?
They don't
Here.
Dang. It'll be snowing in July in Georgia before any of that to happen that you're talking about. First of all, Trump ain't gonna get it. That's the first thing. Trump ain't gonna get it.
Y'all said Trump's not gonna be the nominee. Yes.
Trump ain't gonna get it. I said he is not gonna get it.
So I know that Trump's not gonna get it. I go with 95%. But I'm saying to you, there's always that chance.
Because
well,
you got it. Go ahead, but all I'm gonna say is that line that Alton talks about, that line in the road that you got to follow.
Mm-hmm.
If you deviate, see, remember I told you the reason he's not gonna get it is he deviated off that line and he started telling the secrets. He was like Toto in the Wizard of Oz. He started pulling back the curtain. He pulled back the curtain and started just showing you unbridled power.
Right.
Day one, he has.
Right. That's what I said. He pulled the curtain back and said, hey, y'all, I ain't got to fake it no more. I'm going to show you how you do power, raw, unadulterated power. And they went like, wait a minute, you getting off our road. We got this road we trying to sell everybody on.
Right.
And he kept jumping on the side, wanting to play and have some fun. You see? And that's why he ain't coming back. That's why I say he ain't coming back.
I don't understand how you guys are thinking.
Okay. How did I think it?
I don't know.
The first year, I told them folk in the line, I said, y'all might as well get out of line or Trump getting ready to win. And they was, Albert, you crazy. And he won. The second time around, I said, no, he ain't going to win this time because he opened his big mouth and told too many secrets that he was not supposed to tell. He is uncontrollable, and the Republicans will have an assassin to kill his butt. This time around,
so here we are.
He's going to come back up again, and either he's going to die of a heart attack or they're going to find a way to put him in jail. At least do that. And then he say he's going to run. But that ain't going to work this time, I don't think.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Regarding Bin, I haven't been keeping up with Bin, and this is going to sound weird. I've been a fan of his for 36 years.
Bin.
Yeah. Netanyahu. You know why? You know why? I'll tell you why. You know why? Because in a lot of ways, I saw a young man at the time who's like, no freaking nonsense. This is how you govern. You rule. Now, regarding the court, I don't know what he's doing over there with the court, but my thing is, he's been in so much legal trouble, he needs to shut them down. Right. That's all that is. He got to keep them under control. I mean, this man's been prime minister, this is what, the third or fourth time?
Right,
He got to keep them under control. Right, and two, in the Middle East.
We're gonna keep talking some more about this kind of stuff as we go. Thanks for the dialogue. But hey, bye, Birdie. Tweet the little tweet. And I'm giving
you turning to stupid Musk. Yeah, that boy over there playing in the sandbox.
You said stupid Musk?
Yeah, stupid Musk. Yeah, what is he doing? Tell me why he is going through all these gyrations. First, he blows up a ship for $6 or $7, $8 billion, and he keeps right on going. Now he's blowing up a social media platform, for so many billions of dollars. He just a wild kid out there having a good time. Y'all didn't know it.
Which is why we shouldn't pay him no attention.
Yeah.
I mean, first of all, the irony is most of us, unless y'all hiding some money, aren't billionaires.
No.
I don't care what this guy does. I mean, that's
right.
a company cool, man.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out. What it's because your investors are going to hang you if you don't turn a profit.
Yeah.
I agree. The people making the noise are the left wing, loud, tree hugging ass people who don't like him because they perceive him as shutting them down.
Right.
Which he hasn't. Because I'm on Twitter every day, not as much as I used to be, but I'm on it every day, and I'm seeing them loud left wing commie pinkos out there hugging and screaming and bitching and making noise. I'm like, wow, y'all are still here and y'all complaining? He hasn't kicked you off.
Yeah, they're horrible. So real quick, I'm changing again. So Hollywood is on strike, and you got Fran Dresser, the nanny, who is become the spokesperson for the Writers Guild and the SAG. And how is it that they're able to shut down Hollywood and we can't come together as a people and do whatever we need?
They haven't shut down Hollywood. They just on strike.
Yeah. Hollywood has plenty of content. Right. I ain't missing a beat. Okay. I can go on Paramount Plus.
Get that, but they're not making any new content.
And your point.
They don't need any new content.
Anybody remember the guy here? Who was that crazy man from Atlanta that owned all the billboards and came up with this genius idea? I'm gonna come up with a TV station and all I'm gonna do is show oldies but goodies movies, and he made billions of dollars off of it. What's his name? What's that guy's name?
Ted something.
Ted Turner.
Yeah.
Right. You see, we will love some rerun. In fact, I would prefer reruns with some of this junk they showing on TV these days.
My mother just texted me. I'm not lying. I'm done. She's like, Junior, there's this TV station, all these old shows. I'm like, there you go.
See, there you go. Hey, Jeanette.
All right.
Hey, them folks better come off strike. I know that.
All right. Moving. Last one. We got skills. Here we go.
Who?
Do we have anything to worry about with Ron DeSantis' new education standards for Black history? Example, who benefited from slavery, Black or white? Should we be concerned? Is Harris the best spokesperson for this?
Harris.
As in
Harris who? Kamala?
Yeah, she's the one out there speaking.
About look.
Let me
go, Alton. Then I'll say what I gotta say.
Let me go there real quick. Now, first of all, thank you for letting my Caribbean ass participate.
All right, we got 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Kamala, you are not. I'm just gonna say it. You are not Black American. You shouldn't be commenting on shit. You did not. No one in your bloodline went through what Black people went through. You are in no position. I can't even speak to it. Okay, I'm older than you, Cammy, by 1 year. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm an immigrant. Your mom was an immigrant. Your dad was an immigrant. You're a first generation. First generation immigrant should not be speaking to anything that has to do with Black Americans unless you are asked for your technical expertise. And Kamala Harris has no technical expertise in this area. She should not be talking about this at all. I'm sorry.
DeSantis did something that a rabbi did several years ago when I interviewed her about how is it that y'all keep telling a lie that you built the pyramids. And she finally turned to me and said, I don't care whether it's a lie or not. These are our stories, and we are going to tell our stories because they benefit us. So DeSantis is telling the story that's going to benefit that line that we've been talking about all day. It's going to continue the narrative that Black folks just better be lucky that they're living here in America, because if they wasn't, just think about where they could be.
Exactly. And he'll point to Kim Parrish and say, she's Black and she knows.
That's right. You see? And then I'm going to make enough of y'all rich enough that I can take your money anytime I get ready and put you in jail if I need to, Because there ain't gonna be but a handful of y'all, but I'm gonna keep pointing to that and say, well, see, if it wasn't for us bringing you over here, you never would have had the opportunity to do the things you do. So enjoy yourself. But that's the lie that not anybody, but these groups are telling.
Right.
To maintain their dominance in the world. So you're gonna have to expect it.
Yes.
So back to
Control
some
the
of our
narrative.
earlier conversations in terms of what Black people need to do. How do we combat that lie to sort of not allow them to continue this lie? They've been lying since we got here.
Right.
Lying since we got here.
Mhm.
We're at this juncture where perhaps we can make some kind of a shift, but Black folks are going to have to do something.
Where is this myth you got that this is any unusual juncture than where we've been in all time? We stay in the middle of a road trying to figure out where to go. You figure they've been telling the lie on TV. They've been telling the lie on radio. They've been telling the lie in your public schools. They've been telling the lie in your churches. Made you put a white God up on your wall and praise him in your churches every Sunday. So they've been telling these lies all along. This is just another lie on top of a lie.
Well,
So
where I get that from, to answer your question, is that we've got an internet that makes people more knowledgeable and have access to stop.
Oh yeah, tell him stop.
They have access to data, and there is this major push on democracy, not just here, but everywhere. And I think that Black people need to stop sitting back, waiting to see what happens, and assert themselves into the conversation. We are not asserting ourselves into the conversation in any real meaningful way that is going to make us players in this new iteration.
I would recommend as y'all special counsels, because I got to practice what I preach now, that to insert yourself into this is to insert yourself into institutions that were designed to keep you out in the first place.
yes.
So you need to have the conversation, but it has to be on the outside, and then you got to be tangential to this. You cannot insert into it. I have observed that Blacks here have spent solid 60 years, almost 7 decades, trying to insert into something, and what I see coming out does not look like.
I agree.
Doesn't look like Black people.
Let me take you back to 1954. The original Brown v. Wade was never designed to insert us into the school system. We originally started out asking for resources and supplies so we could do it ourselves. They recognized that we were doing it ourselves and said, wait a minute, let's hold up. Even while Thurgood Marshall was arguing the case, he would come back to NAACP and say, all right, we need to start raising money, because once we win this case, they're going to start shutting down our Black schools. They're going to start shutting down our Black leaders. They're going to start forcing us to go over there, and we're not going to have the leadership to keep our kids growing and growing and growing. And that's what they did. And that was the reason that they ordered integration, was to get rid of people like Alton, people like you, people like me, who would say to a Black kid, no, we ain't gonna do that. And so I'm like Alton, we need to go back to the original, get us enough resources to say, hey, you can play this game over here, but this game right here is going to take you down a dark alley and you'll never recover from it, versus you finding out who you are.
The court said this nation state called the United States cannot have another state growing with it.
Yes.
Growing within it. It'd be like a cancer to the American state. No state on this planet wants another state sitting in it. That's why the Israelis do not want a nation state sitting next to them. No state wants that. And that's what that ruling, when I reread it, going to Albert's point, I'm like, damn, they don't want us in. They want to evaporate you. They want to wipe you out.
Right.
Wasn't that part of the original Sherman Act, that we would get that land along the South Carolina, Florida, Georgia coast, and that we would be unto ourselves, build our own.
That should have been pursued. If that was out there, that should have been pursued. And I think that blacks that came to this country as slaves will be a lot further ahead because way ahead, because blacks will be making their own decisions for their own interests. Nobody's sitting at their table that don't look like them, that don't have their lineage. Tell them, can I make a suggestion? This is what we. No. Enough of that.
Right.
See,
Go to any point in history, Jeanette, where we were on our own. Go to any point in history where we were on our own, and there was always the outside folks came in and saw we were doing well, and they said, "Whoa, we cannot do this." The Quakers did it. The Quakers came down south and broke up the schools. They went like, "Oh no, you can't have this school here." All the carpetbaggers came down. Everybody came down, and when they saw us doing what Alton said, they went, "Oh no." So if you want to make it right, you got to go back to what made it right from the very beginning. Us teaching us.
I really love it. I love that. So we're going to end on that note. We just hit the 60-minute mark. Guys, great discussion. Loved it. I missed the others, but y'all got it going on. Night.
All right.
Oh,
Peace out. Where's Sydney? Hit it, Sydney.
Sydney's like, oh man, that was great.
Yeah, because we're still on the air, by the way.
I know we are.
Yeah, that's what I said. We're still on the air.
I'm sitting here with my smile saying, yes.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to go and
maybe we're going to have to click off. Well, there she goes.